Hello and welcome everyone to the Inspired live stream. It's beautiful to see you all. It's excited to always. I love going on live. It's not the polished, beautifully edited version of things, but it's more raw in the moment and nonetheless authentic. Maybe that's even more authentic. But before we go into anything, let me say we're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. This has been the mantra for now. God knows how many hundred live streams on the Inspired channel, and this is the spirit that we always bring to everything. So let me welcome you all in a live chat while people are jumping on here. I want to welcome Sherry. Good to see you. Opeth Divinity. Sorry, I said Open Divinity. Ashman, Brittany. Good to see you. Princess, Stacy. Welcome everybody. Stacy's tuning in from Northern California. And we're also welcoming the algorithm here and asking the algorithm to distribute this live stream to our wonderful subscribers because they deserve to get a notifications when they sign up. Thank you. Hi, Joey, Margarita, New Earth Fitness, The Reality by Jay Rocca. Good to see you all. Christine is here. So let me dive into today's subjects as people are jumping on. Um, First of all, it's not necessarily language that I usually use or we use here, the 3D versus the 5D thing, but it's something that has come to be a synonymous for people. So they associate certain things with 3D reality and certain things with 5D reality. And the reason why this topic came up is because so often we get the comments and the emails, "Hey, why are you focusing on this? Why are you reporting on this? You should just think those positive, beautiful, wonderful thoughts and just focus on the 5D that we're shifting into. Don't worry about anything else. It will take care of itself." And here's the here's a truth, my lived truth. I can always only speak from what I have experienced. I do not venture into things I have no firsthand knowledge of. By the way, the wise thumbs in a live chat, inspired, that is Christine. She's in a live chat. So if you see her commenting, that's her. Um, so in my life, nothing has ever changed, transformed, or become better because I ignored it. I didn't look at it. Likewise, nothing has become better or changed or transformed because I just kept looking at it. Okay, so that's from the get go. But the perspectives here are that a lot of people say what is happening in the world around you within this matrix here, right? What's happening in politics, in the economy, with war, with poverty, with sickness, with everything that's around us. Don't focus on it, ignore it, just focus on what you want. And that's all that you need to do. And we've said this over and over. This is an oversimplified way to look at co-creation. And I want to peel the onion here. So you're just going to have to stick around, sit down, and have patience because we actually need to work this out. So number one, and this is something that I want to say from the get-go. We are not this physical body. We are not this avatar. We are consciousness that is having this experience, whether it's in a simulation or whether it's in a real reality. Truth is, we don't know. We couldn't prove it's a simulation. We couldn't prove it's the other thing. But we're having a physical experience that has certain characteristics to it, right? We can touch this body here. We know it isn't eternal, but that which perceives the body to be what it is eternal. The spirit within is something eternal. That spirit within, you could say, if it is allowed to express itself properly, is automatically connected to the highest version of consciousness. That's what spirit truly means. But this avatar can become very powerful if we let it, and it can overpower or at least suppress the spirit. And it does so because when we grow up, we experience all kinds of things. And when we're very little, our minds are subconscious, very impressionable, right? We've vibrated a completely different frequency. We're like sponges, and everything that comes in, we soak in and we save it to our system. when bad things happen to us, when sad things happen to us, when traumatic things happen to us, then this is stored in our subconscious. And unless we find a way later on in life to deal with it and heal it and forgive whatever it takes, then this will drive our life. It will drive our decision making processes, right? It will keep us in a fairly low vibration. It will keep us literally anchored into the 3D reality, and we will continue to be reactionary because these experiences are triggering our reactions to the world. However, on the flip side of this, for those who either haven't experienced a lot of trauma, and everyone has experienced some kind of trauma in this society, trust me, but for those who have who've grown up, in a healthy environment, in a loving environment, in a conducive environment, they are naturally uh, joyous and happy vibrating people, because that is our natural state of being. Okay, you don't need to change yourself into that. That's who we are naturally. So naturally, you could say we naturally vibrate actually at 5D, if you will, if you want to use these expressions. So when you say, I just need to focus on the happy things, you don't realize that if you need to focus on the happy things, there's something that is suppressing the natural happiness and joy within you. Okay. That needs to be healed. So that's the number one thing. Healing needs to happen. Then the second thing is that um, we are living in this 3D reality. And today, if you trip and fall, and you fall on the ground, and coincidentally your hand lands on a nail, and a nail is stuck in your hand, you're not going to sit down and think happy thoughts. You're not going to sit down and meditate. You're not going to sit down and necessarily pray. What you're going to do first is you're going to pull out the nail, you're going to clean the wound, and then you're going to do all the good stuff that you should do. You're going to take good care of that wound. You're going to in an if you really know what you're doing, you're going to put yourself in a healing mode. You're going to put yourself in the healing modality mode, where you actually receive the beautiful energy that allows you to heal quickly. Yes, but first you're going to take care of the immediate need that's there, just like when your fridge is empty, just like when a storm's coming. And currently we're living through very, very difficult times, and I know these are challenging. We're at war on many levels, and for a lot of people, it is so overwhelming because they haven't dealt with their own issues. And this is not a judgment, it's an observation. I would never judge you for that. I'm observing it. And because in our line of work, in a lot of times being of assistance to people, we see that a lot, but we've also experienced it ourselves because of the underlying unhealed issues that are sitting somewhere in your subconscious, deep within it. It then can be overwhelming to look at the reality around you and think, oh, I somehow have to deal with that as well. No, I'm just going to turn this off, and I'm just going to focus on something beautiful that puts me in a good mood and puts me in a good state. And there is nothing inherently wrong with wanting to put yourself in a good state, but you need to realize, if you want to fly, if you want to truly soar, and I'm speaking symbolically, you have to look if there's a weight pulling you down first. Because if you're still attached to the earth around you by weights, you won't soar. You can jump up, but you'll come back down. You can jump up and you'll use a lot of effort. You'll use a lot of efforting, but you will never really get into the soaring state. But let me tell you, soaring state is actually natural for us. Joy, happiness, empowerment, or inspiration are natural states for us. So we have to remind ourselves how to get into these natural states. That's the number one thing. Before you try to focus on 3D or 5D or 6D or 7D, that's the first thing. Internal healing and balancing. That's the first thing. Without that, all of the other stuff is just theatrics. It doesn't matter. But then, and here's the beautiful thing that is happening, and I'm speaking about people that through their life journeys have already done some of that healing work, have already overcome some of these obstacles from the past, have already transmuted that negative energy into positive energy. What is currently happening, and what is so beautiful, is that the urgency and the necessity that we see in the 3D reality, the many chaotic things that are happening, the from what is going on, the escalation in the Ukraine, to what is going on with the WHO, to what's going on with disasters and chemical plant fires, to what's going on with poverty, people not being able to buy groceries, to what's going on with soaring violence. There is a lot in this 3D matrix reality that is currently screaming at us and saying, there's chaos, right? What I have seen in a lot of people, if you want to call them light workers, if you whatever you want to call them, people that have the desire to positively contribute to positive change, this urgency is bringing us together. This urgency is making us realize that we have a common enemy. Yes, I know that you don't a lot of you don't like this language, but it's the truth. We have a common enemy. And to have a common enemy unites people in their actions, but we're actually not necessarily fighting that enemy. We're pooling all of our inspirations, all of our actions, all of our desires together and creating a lot of beautiful new structures, creating a lot of change. People are going into positions that they never dreamed of going into to fix things. People are building paradise gardens. People are going off the grid. People are taking over their school boards, like I've said so many times, or going into their local politics, or connecting with their sheriffs on all levels. This is happening and we are connecting. And you know why we're connecting? 15 years ago, we already had the desire to positively contribute to the change of the world. Very, very much so. We wanted to bring light to the darkness. We wanted to bring, if you will, 5D consciousness into 3D reality. We always thought it was necessary and important to do so. But you know what the difference was? We were all scattered across the place, people here, there, everywhere, but there was no unification. There was no combined efforts. For some reason, it hadn't happened yet. But now it is happening, and I'll tell you why. The urgency, the visible urgency in front of us is pulling us together, and the great spirit, the great creator, is putting us in similar places and making sure that we connect and making sure that we become a community. So this is happening because people are traveling to East Palestine, and are actually looking at the situation on the ground and are then communicating back to a group, for example, that we're part of, and are communicating, here's what's really happening. These are the facts. This is what we need to do. Let's get into action. And things are being done much faster, much more efficiently than before. It isn't. You cannot. I mean, you can, of course. You can go into a cave and meditate yourself out of this reality, which would equate to going into solely 5D. Go ahead if that's what you came here for. More power to you, no judgment. But we didn't come here for this. We didn't come here to meditate ourselves out of this reality. We came here to shift things, to help with a great awakening, to help with a shift. And for that, we need to integrate all levels of our reality. We even need to surf into the matrix. Yes, we need to do the Neo thing and plug ourselves into the matrix often, because that's where a lot of the people are that are feeling the awakening, and they need to see us. They need to see the light workers. They need to see the spirits. They need to see truth and authenticity in front of them to be awakened and to be part of this. And so many of you are feeling this. You're in between the worlds. You're here one day and you're there one day. Actually, this is what is needed at this time. This is what is needed. We were misled and misguided by infiltrators in the spiritual community, none of which are real, authentic light workers, if you will. They came in and they basically put us in a state of, you just focus on the beautiful stuff. You just think about flowers and unicorns and rainbows, and it's gonna all be wonderful. And you're just gonna be in 5D. Don't worry about the 3D. And they came here in order to pacify us, in order to keep us inactive, so we wouldn't pay attention to the things that are happening in 3D, and we wouldn't be part of the change here. Now, what I will say is, if you go into 3D, and 3D, I'm talking about the physical reality around us. If you go into politics or economy or news or whatever you want to go into with a 3D mindset, well, you're not going to be much of a solution. You're not going to be much of a change. You're going to be a little bit of the same, or a lot of the same. However, if you dedicate your own personal journey to first healing and then to elevating your vibration. What does that mean? Well, ideally, we all seek to vibrate at the frequency of that which we call God. I mean, naturally, hopefully, that's what we're all aspiring to, right? I love the phrase. I people say I don't follow Christ. I seek to live a Christ-like life. Well, it's a tall order, isn't it? But it's a beautiful seeking. And ultimately, that should be all of our seeking, that we elevate our consciousness to God's level. I mean, ultimately, we're all on a journey home, right? We're just helping each other get there. And so, elevating your consciousness and putting yourself in higher states of vibration. And how do you know you're in a higher state of vibration? Because of the feeling that you have inside of you. If you have an authentic feeling, authentic, real, not in the head, the whole experience of joy, of inspiration, expansion, it all goes hand in hand. When you have that mind, that awareness, that expanded consciousness, you feel balanced, you feel equipped, you feel empowered. From that level, from that state, you bring that to 3D reality and see what happens. You bring that light into a dark room of people that are attached to the darkness and watch what happens. This is how we change things around. This is how we create truly a new way. This is how we bring things back to how it was meant to be. And I'm a firm believer of that. And that's why I call it transurfing. I call it going between the dimensions. And it is important. You can't ignore one aspect. You can't ignore a single aspect of what it means to be a human being, because when you ignore that aspect, someone else is going to take care of it for you. If you don't run your mind, someone's going to run it for you. If you don't run your soul, someone's going to run it for you. This is how this reality here works. So I don't subscribe to this religious dogmatic belief that you are just to be here, you're to ignore everything, and if you look at something, it's going to increase. It's interesting to me, and this is an example Christine brings up a lot, and we both think that way, but she says it a lot. She says, well, the world had no idea on a larger scale about child trafficking, child sacrifice, the extreme levels of pedophilia. The world had no idea. The world wasn't aware up until recently that's even a big thing. Well, guess what? While we weren't aware, it kept growing and becoming bigger. So how does that equate to the observation that if you don't pay attention to something, it's going away? That's not how this reality works. We are positive and conscious co-creators, and our intentions, our thoughts, our feelings, our vibration go hand in hand with our actions. Our actions are actually what activates all of the transformation. It's what brings things into movement. And we're here to transmute energy. We're here because energy doesn't go away. If something's negative to you in your perception, it doesn't just go away because you don't pay attention to it. You need to actively transmute it. You need to change it. Energy changes forms, but it doesn't just disappear, right? It changes forms, and you can change it. You can transmute it. You have that power within you. So the number one thing, the most important thing, it's what changes everything, is that you ask yourself, where am I not whole yet? Where am I not healed yet? And how do you know you're not healed yet? A number one sign is that you regularly fall into fearful states. Fear is not a natural feeling that we consistently feel in our lives. It's just not like that. It's something that is a reaction to an experience that you once had that keeps coming up for you. Fear has nothing to do with the facts around you. That's also important to understand. People tell us when we talk about the amendments that are about to be added to the international health regulations with the WHO, they say, well, you're fear mongering. And I say, how's presenting a fact? The fact is not fear, but how you react to it might be fear. But that doesn't say anything about the fact that I presented you with. It just says something about what's inside of you, because you can't be triggered if you weren't loaded to begin with. If you're not loaded, you can't be triggered. And so what are we loaded with? If fear is a reaction that comes up often, don't judge yourself. Acknowledge that it's there and try to go deeper. You can get help for that. There's people that specifically guide others through a wonderful healing modality. It's called the Journey. We always say this. We're not affiliated. One of our daughters is actually becoming a Journey practitioner, but other than that, we're not affiliated. We just love the process. If you go to thejourney.com, it's the simplest, easiest, and fastest healing modality for deep trauma healing that we know of. We've done it many times. We've shown others how to do it. We've led others through it. It's a very powerful tool. But if you remain unhealed, if you don't look at that, you're going to carry this into every aspect. And another thing, whatever you think 5D consciousness, 5D reality is, you're not going to get there if you're emotionally stuck in 3D, if you're emotionally stuck in the heaviness, in the density. So we need to go within and we need to begin the healing journey. That's the number one thing. But when that happens, you free up all that beautiful energy that's been suppressed. That is actually, if you want to, again, I usually don't use these terms, but that's more of a 5D nature. So now you bring that to your everyday lives. Now you bring that to your conversations, to your actions, and boom, life changes. Reality around you changes. You become the change that you want to see in the world, quite literally. And so, full integration means that we acknowledge all parts of our existence, not just the one that feels best in the moment. And also, you will realize that if you go through these healing stages and actually uh, achieve a level of natural well being again, when you are presented with information that used to scare you, it won't scare you anymore. It will actually inspire you. You will see this and you will say, "Oh, I have an idea. I feel inspired. I know what we can do about it. I know who we need to connect for this. This is what's happening every day in and around us." If we don't look at things and get scared, we look at things and go, "Oh, yes, I know that I can call this person. They're an expert in this. They're going to bring people together and we're going to start taking positive actions today." But it all begins for me every day. I've said this multiple times, so many times. I've said it begins for me in the morning when I connect with my creator. That must be the most important thing. That must be ultimately why we're here and what we're doing it for. Um, if a guru comes your way and the guru says, ignore all these things and just focus on, I would run for the hills. The real teachers and masters that I had the pleasure to be taught by in my life were all very down to earth, practically oriented people. They had some of the most astonishing abilities that you could have in this life, but boy, they always brought it down to a very practical level. And they said that's where my most favorite saying comes from: before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. It still means if you neglect the duties around you, right? It's like a mother that has, let's say a mother has twins, right? Babies, and she says, "Oh, I want to go and I want to meditate into the beautiful life altering experience, and I'm just going to think of happy thoughts and beautiful things." And she loses herself in it. Well, who's going to take care and feed her babies, and who's going to take care of their needs while their mother is doing this work? We need to bring it all into a holistic view, into oneness again, ultimately. 3D, 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, however many Ds you want. Ultimately, it is oneness. It is whole again. That's what I think. What I think we're here for. And I think that's how we need to look at these things. So, um, if you don't find anything spiritual in what's going on in the world today, well, then bring the spirit to it because it needs it. It requires it. If anything seems to be void of light, void of goodness, void of love, void of positive co-creation, void of inspiration, don't run from it. Bring the inspiration, bring the love, bring the light, bring yourself to that and shine your beautiful light into the darkness. Use it as inspiration to change things around. Um, this is how we roll here. So I get it. With regards to the videos that we post, it's not always for everyone. That's okay. We don't want to, we're not here to please anyone. We're not here to fulfill anyone's expectations. And we're not here to every day guide or pull people into some beautiful feeling state. No, some days we're inspired to show a necessary or a truth that's necessary to be seen so we can all move forward and change it. That's just how we roll. That's what we're inspired to do. And it's totally fine if not everything speaks to you. We don't expect it to. But this is where we come from. And this sort of explains our process in all of this. And I can just tell you this as a closing statement. We are connected and we're so thankful with people from all walks of life, from fields you would never expect. And they tell us something that I wouldn't have expected either. They say, you know what? Uh, I'm glad we connected up. We've been watching your channel for a long time. And you just go, that person with that background is interested in stuff that we talk about. That seems to be so far removed from their world. No, it's not like that anymore. We're all getting connected. We're all being brought together for a purpose. Please don't ignore this. Don't dismiss people at hand. Don't play the dogmatic religious I'm just going to look at my box here. I'm going to ignore everything here. That's not the way to go. We're in full integration, full healing, and bringing back well being mode. And if that means we're going to have to go through a little bit more of a rough patch here, which we will, collectively speaking, well, so be it. So what? What's the alternative? Bury your head in the sand? That's not an alternative. That's not how it works. Nothing is being accomplished that way. And for me, the proof is, as I said from the beginning, I go and I just told someone there's a box in a garage with I don't know how many notebooks. You know, those $1 notebooks that you buy at the dollar store, and they're just full of things that I'd written down. A part of it was like a journal, part of it was affirming things, part of it was envisioning things, ideas. I go through these things, man, so many things have come true, have actually manifested and were co-created. But I will tell you the other thing. I didn't just sit here. I took inspired action every day. I say this. I thank the creator for putting in front of me what needs to be done, and I do it. I don't question it anymore. I do it. And if I question it, and if I think my own plan's better, boy, I get the receipt. Like I immediately get confirmation that I've overstepped my boundaries here. No, there's something put in front of you. There's something that wants to be done, needs to be done, and because it's in front of you, only you can do it. This is how you become the puzzle piece that puts everything together. We are all a puzzle piece in the big picture. And if we live up to our purpose, to what the creator puts in front of us, then we fulfill that picture. And how good that can be, we don't even know yet. I can just tell you, it'll be tremendously beautiful and like unlike anything we have ever experienced in this life before. So 3D, 5D, 6D, all of these, it all belongs together. And don't worry if you're sometimes stuck in between the worlds. We all are. It's part of the journey. It's all good. But take this as an inspiration, please. First and foremost, to go within, check with yourself and see, do I feel whole, or is there something missing? Is there do I feel sad often? Do I feel depressed often? Don't judge yourself. Please don't. Please don't. I would never judge you for that. I love you. We love you. Love yourself. And then the next step is give yourself permission to heal. You have to first give yourself permission to heal. I know it sounds weird. Why wouldn't I? Trust me, you have to give yourself permission to heal. And then open yourself up to help. If you need it, just give thanks for the help. And it might show up sooner than you think. That's the first step. If you really do this and commit to the healing journey, your life will shift for the better in ways you couldn't imagine before. And that's the name of the game right now. The world needs healing. We all need healing. And it's okay. We finally realized this, and it's okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you all so much. Oh, by the way, I thought yesterday, Christine and I had our honey talks on locals. It's the only show with Christine, by the way, and I love doing it. It's over at inspired.locals.com if you want to check it out, our inspired community. But I thought it's sold out, but no, we're not quite sold out yet. The YATO retreat. and we put the link in a video description. It's a retreat coming up from March 30th to April 2nd. And everything I just talked about here is sort of the underlying theme of the work that we do at the YATO retreat. It's happening at the beach, Port St. Joe, Cape San Blas, Florida. Beautiful, just a magical piece of paradise. And we're going to get together with a group of people, and we're going to create beautiful shifts. And people say, well, who is the retreat for? And I would say, if you feel that you're very, very close to living your purpose, if you feel like you can almost taste it, but something keeps holding you back and you just can't make that next step, or you feel like something is underneath that's holding you back, but you're ready, that's exactly for you. It's about getting clarity. It's about getting in touch with your true authentic self. We do deep meditations. We go into deep practices. We go deep. That's the best word to use, deep. So if that speaks to you, a transformational journey over 3.5 days with wonderful experiences and challenges too. It's challenging because we step outside our comfort zone. We go beyond what you're used to, beyond what you've done before. If that speaks to you, then click the link in the description, check it out, read up on it, and if you feel inspired, only if you feel inspired, deeply inspired, please join us. We'd love to have you, but you have to be ready. That's kind of a condition. You have to really be ready. But if you are, join us, and we'd love to see you. All righty. I see the live chat's going hot. I see Shatsi in there. Uh,
It's a cute name.
yeah. So Schatzi means honey in German. So we're sending much love to you all. I can't even tell you how thankful we are and appreciative that you are in our lives, that we're on this journey together. And this digital space here that we share will soon, and sooner than you think, translate into a physical space. I can tell you that too. It's it's all happening. It's all beginning to happen. It's coming to fruition, and we're going to share a lot of physical interactions together. We're going to have conversations, you and us, and we're going to be in similar spaces. It's all going to happen. I promise you that. So until then, we love you. We appreciate you, truly do, and we'll be back with you again shortly.